Huh. Interesting.
This is so boring.
What is up, everyone? This is ReviewIt. I'm James.
And I'm Kelly.
And today we are reviewing The Monuments Men.
Snooze fest.
Snooze fest. For real.
Ugh.
Totes. Magoats.
Oh my god.
This movie is a sleeper.
Probably the most boring movie you'll ever watch.
Maybe.
Yeah.
One interesting thing, though, about this movie is that it was originally supposed to come out in December of last year in order to make it in time to campaign for an Oscar. Let's just say that if it had come out back in December, it wouldn't have been anything. So I'm really not too upset that it was pushed back to February. And what comes from this idea of a movie is a 2-hour nap, pretty much.
I mean, this is boring. I don't know why I wouldn't watch. I drove an hour to watch this movie with this guy. It was a bad idea.
This movie was free for me because of my AMC
Not for me.
Stubbs membership, and let me tell you, it was not worth wasting that $10.
I spent $11 on this movie.
It's not worth it. But anyway, let's get to why.
Okay, so James told me I had to come up with points. Honestly, I'm fine with saying this entire movie is just boring and being done with it, but I'm not going to. So I will say the only good thing about this movie is that the actors are pretty decent. They're a good cast. They do well at the acting. It has Bill Murray. It has George Clooney. You know, it has a really built up good cast. So that's the only good thing, really. Things that are bad. First, the script. The script is so boring. George Clooney. I get it. I know you want to try to start writing and all that good stuff, but stick to acting. This was ridiculous. This was so boring. I don't think I could read this book because of how boring it was. This cast could have done so much more. They could have made it interesting. There could have been some action. You know, you could have felt something for this cast, but because of the script, I did not care about the cast. I did not care about anybody who died. I did not care about anything. The only other thing I'm going to say about this movie is it was boring. This was literally the most boring movie I've probably watched in my life. I don't like history. It was ridiculous. I kept trying to think of ways to leave the theater early. Some people did leave the theater early. I was sleepy. I was propped back with my feet up, texting. This was just a boring movie. I just did not like it at all, and I hate that I wasted my time seeing this movie because of how boring it was. It took too long to get through because I was ready to go. Just did not like it. So it was absolutely boring. So that's all I have to say about it. I'm going to let James come in and give his spiel now.
Let me just say first off, I'm a big history buff. Oh my gosh. Honestly, if it weren't for the great cast that's in this movie, like George Clooney and Matt Damon and John Goodman and Bill Murray, if it weren't for them, this would be a movie that is on History Channel like for a special night. That's it. That's the only reason this movie is in theaters is because of the great cast. And let me say, like Kelly said, the only really good thing about this movie is the cast. And not even all of them are that good. The only one character who really stuck out to me is Bill Murray, because Bill Murray's scenes in these movies are the only ones that are even halfway decent. Whenever Bill Murray was on screen, I actually cared about the movie a little bit more, but not enough to say that this movie is good. As I said, I'm a history buff, so this kind of story is very interesting to me, and I loved World War II movies. And at first, I was on board with this movie for a little while. And when I say a little while, I mean about 30 minutes until the movie, started to suck. And the idea of it all is pretty interesting. I didn't really know about the story before seeing the movie. I knew it was based on a true story, but I had never heard the actual story before. But oh my gosh, if I had known that it was this boring, I would not have felt bad for missing the story. And as I say, with a neat concept, It blows my mind that a movie that has such a good cast lined up for it and such a cool idea behind it, that it just wastes away every bit of potential that it has. This movie could have been really good. Like I said, it was meant to be out in December of 2013, and it was going to come out in time to campaign for an Oscar. I don't even think it would have been considered for an Oscar had it been put out at the time. I won't say it's as bad as Hercules, but come on. What happened? It could have been a great movie. I don't understand. Like it's boring. I mean, it is agonizingly slow, and the slow part of it starts about 30 minutes in when you realize, oh my gosh, this movie's going nowhere. It is, oh my gosh, it's a 2-hour nap. That's all it is. It is a snooze fest. It's a glorified snooze fest. Another thing that I really hate about this movie is, like I said, the cast is wasted, except for Bill Murray, who actually has a couple decent scenes. But the rest of the cast, it is almost impossible to even care what happens to them, due to the fact that there is very little character development other than at the very beginning. After that, you don't get a lot. You just get these really pointless scenes where people are just walking around talking, and while that could have been really interesting, it's the fact that nothing is there to break up these incredibly slow scenes. It's just, oh my gosh, it's so boring. I almost fell asleep a couple times.
So, we are going to give our rating on this movie.
Yeah.
It is probably clear what mine is, but I'm just going to say, avoid it like a plague. I don't care if you like history or not. If you like history, you're still not going to like this movie probably. If you don't like history, you're going to hate this movie.
See, I want to relate this movie to a movie from, I believe it was 2012, Argo. Now, if you saw that, it was a great movie. And it has very little action in it whatsoever. It is mostly dialogue scenes. But the fact that Argo it knew what it was doing. It focused on the right characters. It focused on character development. And it focused on good tension. It had so much more than Monuments Men had. So if you've seen Argo, you know that you don't have to have a whole lot of action to make a great movie. Monuments Men is just bad. Like, it's just boring. It is the definition of boring. For those of you who you have to see a movie like this, you've got to. I'm sorry, but discount bin. Seriously. If you like any of the actors that are in this movie, tell us what your favorite movie from them is. You know, George Clooney, Matt Damon, John Goodman, Bill Murray. They all have a lot of movies under their belt. What's your favorite from all of them? And if you've seen Monuments Men, make sure to let us know. So that's it for us today. We hope you enjoyed the review. This is Review It. I'm James.
I'm Kelly.
We'll see you next time.